Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Muhammad Satria Qibrannur, and my student number is 2305086041. In this video, I'll be walking you through a theoretical aspect of English language learning that many of us here in Indonesian face the phonological difficulties. Specifically, I discuss why Indonesian EFL learners like us often struggle with English pronunciation, what research tells us about this challenge, and what we can do to overcome them. This presentation video is based on the study by Pritayani from 2024, along with the other key research in the field. Whether you are a student, a teacher, or simply interested in language learning, and the start this video, hope you find this season both informative and useful. Now let's start the study first. Okay, based by my introduction, you guys can see this is a topic that we're gonna talk about today. That is identifying the phonological difficulties of EFL learners. That is based on Indonesian students, and that is based on Pritayani 2024. Now let's begin this study, the presentation of study. Now let's begin with the introduction of the importance of pronunciation. Let's start with the fundamental question. Why is pronunciation so important? Pronunciation is far more than just an accent or sounding native. It's about clarity and effective communication. When we speak, our goal is to be understood. Clear pronunciation helps convey meaning accurately, preventing misunderstanding and building listeners' confidence. Research by Putri and colleagues in 2024 highlights that pronunciation is an essential component of speaking skills. It directly impacts how fluently and confidentially we communicate. In short, good pronunciation isn't a luxury, it is a necessity for meaningful interaction. Okay. The next one is about the next introduction, the context of EFL learners in Indonesia. Now let's suit this within the Indonesian context. English is a mandatory subject taught from elementary school all the way to university. Yet, despite years of introduction, many Indonesian students, myself included, still find English pronunciation challenging. Why is that? Okay, one major reason is linguistic interference. Bahasa Indonesia and English have very different sound systems. For example, English has sound that doesn't exist in Indonesian, and vice versa. These differences creates a natural learning barrier, as noted by Donald in 2016, cited in Putri et al. These sound differences lead to persistent pronunciation errors that are hard to unlearn without targeted practice. The next slide is about overview of pronunciation problems. So, what exactly are these pronunciation problems? A 2024 study by Putri and her team examined 6 Indonesian EFL learners across 2 proficiency levels. These findings were revealing learners' struggles with both segmental and supramental structured features of English. Segmental refers to the individual sounds, consonant and vowel, and the suprasegmental refers to the music of language, like stress, rhythm, and intonation. Both types of difficulties were strongly influenced by the sound and writing system of Bahasa Indonesia. This means our first language doesn't just affect how we produce sounds, it also affects how we hear and interpret English speech patterns. Okay, let's dive deeper into segmental difficulties. These are problems with producing specific sounds. First, many Indonesian learners mix up voice and voiceless consonant. For instance of the sound P and B, T and D, or K and G are often confused. This is because in Bahasa Indonesia, the distinction between voice and voiceless isn't as phonemically critical as it is in English. Second, there are substitution errors such as placing F with P or V with B. This happens because Indonesian doesn't have V sound, so learners naturally substitute and closest sound they know. Third, vowel problems are common. English diphthongs like in they or my are often reduced to single vowels, making they sound like D and my sound like ma. These errors aren't just random. They stem up from what Monroe Drawing 2011 called limited perceptual ability. We struggle to hear and feel the differences in airflow and voicing that English substance. Now let's talk about suprasegmental difficulties. The rhythms, stress, and intonation of English. English is a stress time language, meaning stressed syllables occur at regular intervals and unstressed syllables are shortened. Indonesian, on the other hand, is a syllable time. Each syllable gets roughly an equal length. This difference is huge. In the study, 57% of the students misplace word stress, leading to speech that sound flat or monotonous. For example, in the word photographic, P, stress falls into the first syllables, but learners might stress the second or third syllable instead. Intonation is another challenge. English use rising intonation for yes or no, question, and falling intonation for statements. Indonesian learners often struggles with this. Making questions sounds like a statements, and vice versa. As a result, even if individual sounds are correct, the overall speech can sound unnatural and be difficult for listeners to follow. What did researchers observe in the classroom? First, students were largely unfamiliar with phonetic symbols. This limited their ability to self-correct because they couldn't see the sound they were trying to produce. Second, speech often lacked natural rhythm and stress variation, making it sound robotic. Third, perhaps most importantly, teachers rarely provided explicit pronunciation instruction. Pronunciation was often treated as a minor part of speaking, not as a skill to be taught systematically. The study concluded that these difficulties are both perceptual and productive, meaning we struggle to hear the sound correctly and to produce them accurately. The clear recommendation: we need explicit phonetic training and contextual pronunciation practice integrated into regular lesson. This pronunciation challenge doesn't arise in a vacuum. They result from complex interplay of internal and external factors. Understanding these factors help us design better solutions. Let's break them down. There is two factors, that is internal and external. Let's start by internal factors first. Lack of motivation and practice. That is, without consistent effort, pronunciation skills don't improve. Limited understanding of phonetic symbols. If you cannot read the sound, you cannot practice them systematically. And lastly, in the internal, that is personality, aptitude, and attitude. Shy or less confident learners may avoid speaking, while others may have a natural ear for its sounds. And now we enter the external factor. For example, first one is mother tongue interference. Our Indonesian sound system influences how we perceive and produce English sounds. The second is teacher influence. Students often mimic their teacher's pronunciation for better or worse. And then third, teaching methods. Many classrooms focus on grammar and vocabulary, leaving pronunciation under practice. And lastly, learning environment. Limited exposure to native speakers or authentic English media reduce auditory input and practice opportunities. Suggestion and implication. So, what can we do about it? Here are 4 key recommendations. The first one is for English language teacher, revamp classroom method. Use more audio-visual aids, minimal pair drills, and shadowing exercise. Give focused construction feedback on pronunciation. Second, for close curriculum design, I think is to integrate pronunciation systematically across all levels. Don't treat it as an add-on. Make it a core component of speaking and listening models. And third is for teacher developments. Build capacity and confidence through training workshop, pronunciation courses, and peer monitoring. Teachers need to feel equipped to teach pronunciation effectively. And lastly, for students, that is, they need to become active learners. Use apps, watch English media, record yourself, and practice regularly. Don't wait for the classroom. Take ownership of your pronunciation journey. In conclusion, to summarize, Indonesian EFL learners face significantly challenge with both segmental and suprasegmental pronunciation, largely due to L1 interference, insufficient practice, and a lack of focused instruction. However, these challenges are not insurmountable. With targeted teaching strategies, curriculum interrogation, teaching training, and student initiatives, meaningful environment is possible. Pronunciation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. Let's move forward with awareness, intention, and consistent effort. Thank you for your attention, and see you guys next time.